So you want to make pixel art? Me too. That's what I'm doing here on the channel. And I've got some fresh tips that'll help you out, because they help me out. Let's do it. Hey guys, I'm Andrew. My channel is still pretty new, but for those who have been around for a little bit, you know I've been making pixel art on and off for my entire life. It started out with Mega Man fan comics. I've also made a lot of sprites just for fun, mostly Mega Man, and I've also attempted making a few games over the years, like this Mega Man X tic-tac-toe game. Now there was a huge stretch where I wasn't working on pixel art really at all. Since I got back in the game, I've learned a lot of new stuff. My first long-form video on this channel was actually about all the stuff I'd learned. But now I've learned more. We're gonna say it's 6 different stuffs, and the last one is gonna be something I would not have figured out myself if somebody else hadn't already told me. Stuff number 1, patience. Now, if you watch a lot of videos online about pixel art, or art in general, it kind of gives the impression that this is a very fast process. It is not. Here, let's watch 5 actual seconds of me making a pixel art piece without me editing it into something actually watchable. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, that is terrible. I can't even do it. I can't even pretend to do it right now. It's not watchable. So don't let videos like mine and other people make you think that this is all a very quick and painless process. It's not. This Lucky Charms piece that I did, it was for a 47-second short that's here on the channel. It took me 8 hours to do. And another thing related to patience is if you have time, let your piece sit for a few days without even looking at it. When you go back to look at your art later, you might see stuff that you didn't notice that's incorrect with it before. I did that with my low-spec art jam competition piece. I finished the piece probably 20 minutes before it was due. Now, when I was doing the YouTube video for it, I saw some stuff that I just didn't like. The text was too high, space was too high. So for the YouTube video, I actually scooted it down and put it where I wanted it. Let's look at the flip side with stuff number 2. Don't take too long. I mean this twofold. 1, don't be a perfectionist, because sometimes these things, you're the only one who's gonna see it, you know? Like with the low spec piece, I don't know that it's that much better between this one and that one. Probably most people are not gonna notice these things. But 2, somebody else probably has your idea. So let me elaborate on that. Back in 2003, with my Mega Man fan comics I was doing, I created this character called Fishbowl on Headman. The concept of that character was it was a fishbowl on a robot head, and the goldfish was the one who was controlling the character. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Umbrella Academy. I've never actually watched it or read it before, but there is a character who is a goldfish who controls a robot body. I made that idea. Do I think that Umbrella Academy stole that idea from me? Obviously not. But also, another weird thing, back in 2015, me and my friends were working on this game. The idea of that game was you were playing in a video game where the AI had started to get so advanced that the characters were all coming to life. That's the plot of Free Guy. That's literally what the movie's about. The longer you sit on your gold mine of an idea, the more likely somebody else is to also think of that idea and make the thing. We gotta work on our projects before somebody else beats us to it. And this is me talking to me, in addition to talking to you, because there's ideas in here I need to do them. Now, as for actually learning pixel art, stuff number 3, don't worry about the rules. Pixel art has a lot of rules that you can kind of get lost in. There are color limitations depending on what system you're trying to mimic versus what style you're going for. Is it 8-bit, 16-bit? How big are the sprites? How small are the sprites? I think we tend to get a little bit lost in all the rules and what you're supposed to do, right? Nobody tells a kid with a crayon that they have to do things a certain way. You don't say, oh, these characters are not all the exact right height. Oh, you mixed pencils with crayon. These colors can't go outside the lines. Hey, you didn't even make any of these characters. This is just fan art. Yeah, nobody's saying that to kids. And nobody should say that to you either. If you're trying to learn how to do stuff, make it fun. Focus on this instead. Character design, poses, and personality. First, yes, this character is just an edit of an existing Mega Man character. I don't even remember which one this is at this point, so if you recognize him, let me know in the comments below. The point is, with this character, I wasn't focused on all the rules and stuff. Like, this breaks the Nintendo Entertainment System color limitations. There are too many colors. The colors I picked are not on the actual NES palette. If I had gotten lost in all these rules, I wouldn't have been focused on the fun stuff. But after you've kind of figured all this out and you're starting to really get the hang of pixel art, it's time for stuff number 4. Learn the rules. Pixel art is a very unique art form in that really every picture on the internet or on a computer is made up of pixels. So how you define pixel art and what makes it pixel art is kind of up in the air. It can really help you if you do figure out what are the Nintendo Entertainment System limits. What is the Super Nintendo limit? This kind of stuff can help guide you and help you develop a style that is authentic to pixel art, but also more importantly, authentic to yourself. Like with the original Nintendo, you could only put 3 colors per sprite total, plus 1 for transparency. Even with those specific rules, Nintendo still made 3 wildly different versions of Mario while they were trying to find their voice. Super Nintendo sprites were of course a little bit more forgiving. They had the 16-bit limit, which means 15 colors plus 1 for transparency, and that gives you a whole lot more options. And when you're learning these rules, you can also make new rules yourself. I mean, be as strict as you want to. Some people really prefer working in sprites that are only 16 by 16 or 32 by 32, or hell, you can even do 8 by 8. It's up to you and whatever you want to do. Once you've gotten the hang of it, it's time for stuff number 5. Break the rules. Remember those 3 color limits on the NES? Well, Mega Man isn't 3 colors, if you've noticed. He's got black, blue, light blue, his flesh tone, and white for his eyes. Black, blue, blue, flesh tone, eyes, and then transparency. That's more than 3. What they would do is they would actually stack the sprites. So you would have one layer that was his the outline and the blues, and then you would have another layer that's his face. They cheated. And they cheated back in the 80s, so apparently it's okay. While I'm talking about color limits, we tend to think of them as retro, and we're trying to make our sprites look retro. This sprite of Jazz Jackrabbit from Jazz 2 came out in 1998. You know how many colors are on this guy? 42. There are 42 colors on this sprite alone. They were allowed to do that back in 98. You can do whatever you want to do now. Just experiment with everything until you figure out what you like. And finally, stuff number 6. Change your perspective. Literally. Sometimes when you're making a pixel art piece, it just doesn't look right and you maybe can't figure out why. Here's some tips to figure that out. First, flip your image. Even if you think it looks right now, maybe one arm is longer than the other, or the nose is too big, like mine. It could be anything, and you don't necessarily know that until you see it in a new way. Secondly, zoom in and out. This is the other reason why I don't actually put full time-lapse videos on my channel. I am zooming constantly, and it wouldn't be very fun to watch. But for the whole purpose of making pixel art, I do think that it's very helpful. You're usually working zoomed way in, but the image will be seen zoomed way out. And the third way to do that is actually to look at your picture on multiple screens. Lots of times when I finish a piece, or I think I'm finished, I'll send it over to my buddy Mike so he can take a look. And as soon as I send it to him from my iPad, if I go look at it like on my phone, I can instantly tell something is not right with it. And sometimes I'll even do that with my YouTube channel, where I'll upload a video and then I'll be watching the video and I'm like, ah shit, there's a pixel out of place on that guy. Well, and the fourth thing that you can do to help your sprites look better is actually convert it to grayscale. Color values play much more of a role in a good looking image than you necessarily realize right off the bat. Let's look at this cow. Moo. But let's say we want to make him a lava cow instead or something. So let's change the white to red. Aha, moo. Why do I keep mooing? Something about this new version of the cow doesn't quite look right. Let's look at it in grayscale. Ho ho! He doesn't even have spots anymore. Isn't that weird how that works? The blue and the red, even though they're not the same color, have the same values in grayscale. By the way, if you are doing this in Pixaki, it doesn't have a convert to grayscale option as far as I can find. So what I do is I actually make a new layer and I color it with solid black, and then you can change the blending mode to hue, and that'll convert everything underneath to grayscale so you can actually see it. But back to the lava cow, if we use these colors instead, which are a little bit brighter and a little more saturated, and flip that into grayscale, now he's got spots. So really with any of your pieces, if you flip it over to black and white, you should be able to see it a little bit better as to what works and what doesn't. That's all we've got for today. A quick recap: have patience, but don't be a perfectionist. Learn the rules so you can break the rules. Constantly change your perspective. And, most importantly, follow along for more pixel practice.
Appearing from a puff of smoke, it is I, Smoke Man. Ta-da!